everybody. Good morning. Welcome back to Higher Density Living. Take two, because we screwed up our intro. We completely talked over it because the mics were on.
Yeah.
And now we're back at it.
Yeah, we're talking about extraterrestrials, of course.
Yeah. What else is there to talk about?
Yeah, what else? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the thing. So I want to be a little bit more practical and get into something about beliefs. And I know you love that word. We've talked about this before, but we're going to take it from a different approach.
You want to trigger me at 8:42 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah, well, I'm going to trigger you. This would be great. You got coffee, so you're fine.
Mm-hmm. Black Panther coffee.
When something calcifies.
Oh, okay.
Like calcification.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what the definition of that. Let's look that up.
You want
like calcifying. You know, pineal gland can calcify. You know, they talk about that. You're like, I had a lady tell me she was like a yoga lady, and I don't know. She seemed kind of full of bullshit. You know how you can just recognize like spiritual people that are full of bullshit?
Yeah.
A lot of them are.
A lot of them.
She's like, do you have a calcified pineal gland? And there needs to be work done on there, and all that. And it could have been true. I don't know. But I was just like.
You have shin splints.
These are buzzwords. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I have shin splints.
But I know over time that happens automatically. I think that's part of just.
It happens with age.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is diet-induced. But calcification is the hardening as of tissue by such impregnation, and the impregnation is calcium or calcium salts, as with calcium carbonate.
So it's a slow How do you say that word?
Slow impregnation.
Yeah.
So it's just slow crystal deposits over time until it builds up a mass.
Yeah, and so I was thinking of calcification for your belief system.
Oh,
how it just slowly happens as you're believing in this false narrative.
You're impregnating your consciousness with false narrative.
And then it begins to calcify, and then you just don't evolve.
No, you don't, because there's no flexibility in your tissue anymore. It can't grow or expand. When you calcify, you limit the size. Can't go beyond that. It creates a crystalline structure that then becomes limited, right?
Yeah, no, and I want to get real practical with this because I think it's really important. And I was listening to a podcast, and this singer was talking about this. He's like, a lot of depression comes from, because he was a real depressed singer, very creative. He said a lot of depression comes from when you have an end goal. And so you're like, well, I need to become a millionaire, or I need to become the CEO, or I need to do this and this. So then there's an end goal, and then you reach that end goal, and it's like, okay, I'm done. It's like I need to join the NBA, and then you get into the NBA, and then you get injured or hurt, and then I have no identity now.
There's nothing.
My whole life since I was 6 years old, I wanted to be in the NBA. I went there.
You impregnated your decisions, your life path to one end goal or benchmark, and then once you've achieved it, well, how you blast out of your calcification? You've hardened your world to this very narrow, limited perspective of what you think you need to be or achieve, and then how are you gonna get outside of that? How do you crack this hard calcified shell of belief that you thought was necessary, but when you got there and you achieved it, you're like, well, what is there anything more? What else am I supposed to do? I've never thought about anything else because my belief has limited my perspective to consider other options.
Yeah, well, it's the same with religion or whatever. But what he was saying, and I thought this was really cool, he said, I've gotten to the point in my life, and this was like revolutionary for me to think about this. He's like, I only want to do things that don't have an end goal. Like you would exercise. The reason you exercise is to take care of yourself physically. And they've said the greatest thing that you can do once you're past 60 years old, more than eating good, more than anything else, is resistance training. Like that's where people they break hips and stuff like that, So, they said it extends your life by up to 30%.
Well, yeah,
just by resistance training.
Because you won't break a hip.
Yeah.
You actually, it allows your body to adapt those micro adjustments, because resistance training is like bands and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's about dealing with those balance,
bands,
anything
whatever,
like that. So that if you don't fall, you don't end up in the hospital, you don't end up getting an infection. Yeah, it's going to increase by 30%. It's not the band itself.
Right.
It's the fact that you've gotten rid of the calcification, you've increased mobility. It's the increase in flexibility and, what do you call it? Balance.
Right.
Just your natural balance. All those things become enhanced, and you maintain it with age.
But it's like, like in your hobby.
My hobby.
And it's interesting because whenever you talk to people that are in your hobby that you do, they use the words I am. They say I am a climber.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? They're identifying who they are by the action that they do, and it's not an end goal. It's like there's too much to climb.
There's way too much to climb.
The guy, who is it? The guy
Arnold.
Yeah, there's another guy. He's in his 60s and he's still climbing like crazy and in super good shape.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, I know who this guy is. He's a business leader. He's written, I think it's Jim Collins or something like that. Good to Great, the book.
He climbs?
Yeah, I think it's him. We should make sure, but it just see if Jim Collins is a climber. But he's old. That book was brought in them.
Yeah. Jim Collins hitting the wall.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, but I mean, he's in great shape. You know, he lives in Utah, I think.
Yeah, he's in fantastic shape. I'm looking at photos of him.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody, you know, it's my hobby for sure. But I don't say I am a rock climber. I just say I rock climb.
Right.
I don't really.
But that's not. There's no end goal for that. It's like you know, you're not going to say, "Well, I climbed the Himalayas and I'm done."
No, it's not. When I go out and do Everest, that's not it.
Right.
That's where it starts.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the beginning. My legs are tingling just saying that. That's where it begins. But after that, I mean, you can't say, "Oh, that's I've reached the top. That's the peak." Yeah, maybe tall, but it does not stop.
But
there.
what if we had goals that, you know, it's like Tartle. It's like there's so much to do. We could never say, well, we're going to do this and then we're done.
Yeah, goal 1, 7.5 billion people.
Until everyone signs up in the universe.
Goal 1, 7.5 billion. Goal 2, nobody's dying because of going hungry.
Yeah.
3, we solve the big 7 issues through data. We
that's
can
a
just,
lifetime.
That's
there's
a lifetime
no end
of
goal.
work. No, it's a lifetime of work.
Yeah. So, and I think that is so important when it becomes to you walking this road. I was listening to a neuroscientist and he was talking about dopamine. You know, we always think of dopamine like dopamine hits in the sense of it being like we're playing a video game and, you know, we win a level and then dopamine hits and we're like, you know, and we think of it that way. It's like the mule with the carrot that's put out in front of you. Yeah. He was talking about this and you never can eat the carrot, but like you're looking at the carrot and it's motivating you.
That's what Elon was talking about with moving their extraterrestrial craft.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Good metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah. Great metaphor.
And if it works for a craft, it works for a mule. If it works for a mule, it works for dopamine.
Yeah, and it's and he said, he was like, how can I reduce dopamine down to where people would understand in a philosophy level? You know, and this is Stanford neuroscientist, and he said, it's a feeling of doing a good job.
Yeah.
So, you know, you get this dopamine hit because you did something.
You know what the best combo is of that dopamine? So I used to work with a bunch of union workers, many different unions. And when I would assign them to a task and they did it, they did a good job and they knew they did a good job, you could see the dopamine hit. And then when you pat them on the back, you get the dopamine with the oxytocin.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bond created and there's like almost like this uplifting that is occurring. Trust grows, love grows, all these other things. Because when I show up, oh, you got a 6'5" white male coming into this huge, you know, factory machine shop thing going on here. And they're like, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But when there's resounding dopamine and good job and oxytocin and uplifting of the collective, you're no longer like seen as like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Right.
You're just a sheep among sheep.
But it's so interesting, you know, with these, and this is a good point to what you're talking about, but it's this, if I get this, then I'll be this. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if I get to this next level, then I'll be happy. You know, if I get this position, then I'll be fulfilled.
Do you know where, in the most practical sense, do you know where the fulfillment of myself comes from? Is just through learning. I get so fulfilled through my own evolution. Not finding an end goal and be like, yes, if I do this. That's not it. It's actually every step that takes me to get to certain points so that when I look back at it, I'm like, holy smokes, look at all the things that happened and look where we are now. This is incredible.
And I don't think people do that enough.
No, we don't look back.
We're not thankful or appreciative enough to look back and say, oh shit, yeah, I've grown a lot.
Or some people like, they've had no job. They were, you know, practically couch surfing. And then, you know, you got a job at a McDonald's. you're not a bum. Look back. Look how you pulled yourself up. Look at your evolution. Look how your thoughts have changed. And this is another point I had to do with the unions. People forget change that happens all the time. They don't remember. So I cataloged how it looked.
They don't remember the change. They remember the outcome.
They remember the outcome.
How they felt about it.
So this is what I do, or what I did. I would take a picture of what it looked like in the beginning, and then midway through, and then at the end when it was complete. And I show them, do you feel good right now? You should, because this is what it was like before. And I want to remind you, and look at what it looks like now. Look at the stark contrast of your life, your work environment, all this stuff. And they're like, my goodness. And most people, they're like, I didn't even realize.
Yes.
And when you reinforce the awareness of evolution, it changes people. It really does. And it's a very practical thing for you to do. This is why journaling is fundamentally so important, because it affords you to take a step to say, I'm going to time log my thoughts and events in my life, okay, or even your dreams. I'm going to put this here. And then as I go into the future, I can look back to how I was thinking. What were my thoughts? Because most thoughts, some are new, but most of them aren't novel. You continually repeat those thoughts.
But the thoughts, see, you're being self-aware, because this is what this neuroscientist was saying, and it was so cool, and this is why I wanted to bring this up and talk about this, was we're basically drugging ourselves.
Yes.
So we have 100% responsibility in our thoughts because we're drugging ourselves. So people don't realize the power of your brain when you're thinking. If you're thinking negative thoughts all the time, thinking about suicide, thinking about depression, you're a victim, then it's going to play out in your life. You're going to eat shitty food. You're not going to work out. Why would you work out? Why would you care about what you eat?
Why would you care about yourself?
So that now you're compounding on those thoughts, but your brain is doing this really cool shit.
Yeah.
It's turning around and it's drugging you towards that.
You want you want me to reinforce negative thought patterns? Sure. I'll give you all the chemical stimulus you want for it.
And then once those chemicals hit, they don't only go to the brain, they go to the gut.
Correct.
And
That's
then they
your
go,
second brain.
and then now you have your adrenal glands are fucking pumping shit out, hormones,
blood pressure is high,
cortisol levels are through the roof,
your gut biome's all fucked up.
Yeah,
that's correct.
And so now you're living in reality.
But it's a calcified reality.
Yes.
You've calcified it with these hormones that make you rigid and inflexible, rather than take the evolutionary approach and actually look back with self-awareness and feel the growth, feel the joy of the dopamine, feel the oxytocin blending, feel the unification with others. Have a good diet so your pineal gland doesn't calcify or other aspects of your body.
Yeah, and I want to talk about being, the word being, and then we call it like, I always think of hero's journey, like a journey or a path to walk, like being on the path. And for me, it's like, I know when I go off the path or when I should be on the path. I think,
do you feel it, Jason?
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, emotionally. And of course, it's chemically popping in my head and all that stuff. It's like, I don't think this is for me, so maybe I shouldn't go down this direction. And it's little things every day. I think of that. I think of this. It's like, this isn't best for me to be on this journey. This is my journey that I need to take. Doing this right now is not, it may not be bad, like in the sense of a moralistic thing. Yeah. But it's just not best for me in the direction that I need to go.
Somebody asked me the other day, like, you want to come do shrooms with us at a park? And I said, no. It's just not in total, in sum, it's just not for me. I'd be more than happy to sit with you and keep you safe.
Right.
But it's just that that's not an experience that's for me. I just know that I don't want that. Simple as that.
Yeah.
But I know that. But if I started going on that path, my gut and everything will be telling me, like, this is a bad decision.
Yeah.
This isn't you. You know at your core when something really does not align with you. And
it's funny how we know that, though.
And a great way to ignore it is anger. Anger will override that, like just complete illogical, like all this stuff, and you will not end up listening to yourself. Anger blinds your intuition. Just blinds it completely. So that's why you're like, well, how did, people that are angry all the time can't really feel what's the right thing for them to do. They don't know themselves. They hate others. They hate themselves. It's just like this weird compounding mess.
Right.
It's like more heroin. And then what you find, you're spiraling. Nothing good can actually come from that.
It's like the angry guy that's sitting at the bar.
It's freaking hot
just
here.
Drinking all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got a sweatshirt on.
No, go ahead.
That's just drinking all the time. That's saying, what are you looking at? You know, he's just always picking a fight. You know what I mean?
Well, because he judges so many people that he thinks he's being judged all the time. When I could just be sitting there in a totally objective sense, and I'm just observing. You know, it's a tough thing, and I've gotten in this conversation before. I will observe people and make statements of observation that are they're critical because I'm very detail oriented,
right?
And I look at many aspects, and I'm not judging. There's no judgment. Okay, what I am observing: yes, you're a doctor. Yes, you're overweight. Yes, you are smoking. Yes, you have a bad attitude towards someone and many other people. I'm not being negative towards life.
Right.
I'm just looking at what this individual is actually doing in an objective
you
sense.
have to. It's not judging somebody. It's just, do I want to align with this person or not?
Yeah.
This person's asking me to go do this, but their evolutionary path is not in alignment with my path.
No, and so
I'm nice to them, but I'm not
say you're
going
a
to.
Bad person.
I have limited time on this universe.
Yeah.
In this little meat suit.
In this meat suit, yeah.
So I don't want to waste it.
Mm-mm.
So it's nothing against the person. And I get that all the time. People are always wanting to hang out. I'm like, some people I'll hang out if I feel like it's gonna be like fun but it's not taking me away from my path.
No.
You know what I mean?
And being objectively critical doesn't mean you have to judge people.
Yeah.
Critical is just saying, I am recognizing cause and effect at a very expanded level, right? And then when I'm being objective, I'm looking at the facts of observation that are right in front of me. But I'm not judging the person to say they're a bad person. They're a bad parent. They're this, they're that. That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying I'm just objective. But for some people, when they hear that, they think it's so negative and critical. It's like, no, actually me watching these people help me learn and also understand how I should be interacting with them and what part of that person is also a part of me.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, there's two things that I want to talk about this being on the path. One is a plastic perfectionism, and we see that online.
Plastic perfectionism, like plastic surgery? Or like social media?
I'm just talking
like
in general, like plastic, where it's fake. It's this fake perfectionism, and so everybody is living towards, they've given their soul, let's say, in an old religious terminology, they've given their soul to this idea of what?
No, that's correct.
Perfectionism. Society's created this plastic perfectionism.
That's their ego.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the other sense, especially you see this with toxic masculinity, and we had shows on this, is this false stoicism. Now, stoicism, like Marcus Aurelius and all that stuff, great stuff. You know, went from slave. Yeah. All those teachings are great. But I'm saying this false stoicism where it's like, I can't be vulnerable right now.
Why?
You know, because I need to be angry, you know, and then through my anger, I can persevere through anything.
Or like as a man, I can't show my emotions.
Yeah, I can't cry.
That's not what it is.
Yeah.
That's absolutely not what it is. Stoicism is about the adaptation to life itself. And adapting to life does not mean to squander or hinder your emotions, right? Or then to find this sort of, what you would say, what was it, plastic what?
Perfectionism.
This plastic perfectionism, which says, I'm going to put real organic life to the side, real tangible beingness, because I know you use that word, and I'm going to focus on artificial and sterile things that I can have full, complete, total control over.
Yes.
That's where my evolution will come from, and that's that thought.
Yeah, and it's like, especially with like stoicism, to me, whenever I've studied stoicism and read like a lot of the books, and Ryan Holiday's a new writer that wrote, you know,
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he's wrote a bunch of new books on stoicism, kind of brought it into life
You got
in a
Seneca
modern way.
over here? I think you got Seneca.
Yeah,
somewhere.
I do.
Yeah.
But it's this idea of to me, stoicism is just a complete acceptance of reality.
Yeah, because that's how you adapt with reality. That's how you evolve. You have to accept it in yourself for what you are.
But a lot of people, this plastic perfectionism, they go hand in hand because that's a different reality that I can accept and then work towards. So now I'm living this false sense of self, this false reality. I'm living in this fake matrix.
You know,
Ready Player One type shit.
That's a great film, by the way.
Yes.
But that fake matrix, you really don't have to take responsibility for your actions. You think you can control and then not take responsibility. But then when you look at the organic world, Jason, people think, oh, I can't control it. I have to accept it. You can accept it. But you can also make choices that drive probabilities to a certain path. That's what people forget. If you're responsible for your decision making, even in a world of infinite possibility, you can narrow down probabilities towards something you want to achieve. Your control is your thought and your will. It's not the actual material object.
Yes, that's where when you showed me raw teachings and I began to study them, that's something I've been really grateful for, because I kind of look at it. I like surfing a lot. So I kind of look at the learn, teach, learn as like waves in my life.
Oh, nice.
But that wave that comes into my life that knocks me off the surfboard and I go underwater and I can't breathe and I get like
hold your breath,
salt water in your nose. It's the worst. That whole, and I'm trying to, and you're disoriented. You don't know where
slams you
you're
against
at.
the beach. You're like,
yeah. And then you hop, and then finally you luckily your board's hooked to you. So you finally can pop back up, and then you're like, okay, I can sit on the surfboard. Let me relax.
I'm not dead.
Yeah. Okay. And then, but these waves come. But when you understand the teachings of Ra, and he goes into this, and you've shared a lot this with me, is they're just teaching you.
That's it.
It was uncomfortable, but I made it uncomfortable because of my attachment to it.
Yeah.
I being in the water's the water.
It's just a catalyst.
I chose to be in there.
What's it doing? Jason, here's a catalyst. Did that work?
Yeah.
Nope. Learn from it. Okay, go back out there. Here's your next one. Great. Did it work? Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I stood up a little longer.
If Kelly Slater was next to me, he wouldn't have done what I did.
No.
he'd have wrote it and be like, hey, bro, what's up? He's
bro,
real nice.
I'm just shredding the gnar right now. I'm getting pitted in this wave, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Shooting out the pipe on the end.
He's like, are you okay?
Yeah.
After I pop
and
up
I'm like,
and I'm done.
yeah, I'm okay. And then before you know it, you're on a Maverick.
Yeah, yeah.
And you handle the Maverick catalyst. But the thing is, you don't control the wave. You learn to work with it because your solution is adaptation to nature.
Well, it's this way too. If I told you have 10 years,
yeah,
and in these 10 years, I'm not giving you any instruction, no nothing, but in these 10 years, you have to do 3-point shooting, and you have to work at it for 2 hours a day, every single day,
okay,
for 10 years. Guess what? If I came back in 10 years without you having any formal training or anything,
I'd figure it out.
I guarantee you would be a badass 3-point shooter.
Oh,
maybe not in the NBA.
Who's the guy on the Warriors?
But yeah.
Who's the dude on the Warriors? It's all the 3 game now.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Chris Mullin?
Yeah. Is that his name?
No, that's an old school.
No. Come
old
on.
school guy that was for Golden
Recent
State.
Warriors guy. He's always shooting threes.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're. I know his name. His mom is really good looking. You should look at his mom.
Yeah.
And his brother plays too, I think.
Yeah,
everybody's yelling right
Everyone's
now.
they're always Steph Curry.
Yeah, Steph Curry. Yeah,
Steph Curry's just hitting threes.
Yeah.
Okay, all day long. But that's what it is.
But it's adaptation, like he said.
Yeah, he's adapted the game. He said you have a higher risk and a less likely chance of actually making it into the rim, like into the hoop, right? Getting the points by going closer to the basket. If I stay in the 3, I don't have to deal with the centers. I just have to deal with the other people,
right?
Which is frankly a lot less. Your forwards and stuff like that aren't going to be as tall. So you have less of a restrictive window, and if I can nail threes, the game's all mine.
Yeah, it's less resistance.
Yeah, so I understood the catalyst of the NBA. Now I transfer over. I'm a Steph Curry the shit out of this thing. I've now adapted to the 3-point game.
But I want because I want to stay here. I think this is really good and get more micro attachment to judgment. Listen, because when we're on the wave and whether we're riding the wave and we ride it perfectly and we're like, fuck yeah, I did a great job. But there's still attachment, but usually it's when we perceive it as being negative, which is not negative. It's just a learning moment.
So you're out there on the surfboard.
Yeah.
What if I put a whale out there?
Yeah.
Or a seal? Or a boat? Does the wave give a shit? No. Is it going to be like, oh, it's a baby seal, I'm going to do a smaller wave? Yeah. No, it doesn't care because it doesn't judge.
No.
The wave acts as the wave. We are interacting with that wave. Our false perception of judgment to think that, oh, nature's affecting me. Oh, the universe is against me. Oh, people are against me. Oh, I'm going to judge this person because I'm judging myself all the time. All of these things create this false, calcified matrix stimuli that truly doesn't exist. But you create this false narrative within your own mind and then frame your reality. Your reality, not a true reality, but your specific reality to this perceived idea of judgment, where all this cosmic influence and nature and other people are the ones that define your life for you.
Well, have you ever gotten in trouble by putting gasoline on a fire?
Do you know how many times I've thrown gasoline on
I
fires?
know. That's
in a
even a
very
couple
real
years
sense.
ago. I'm 47. I was 45 years old. I was with Pavel, and I burnt the shit out of myself trying to play. I was like, "Why isn't it going?"
Dude, I do it all the time.
Let me put more gas on the fire.
I do.
And so I took the
fireplaces.
gasoline thing. I didn't know that there was a little bit of fire on the bottom of it
You never
because
know.
there was no smoke.
Yeah.
So I poured on there just real quick, and it's quicker than me, of course.
Yeah.
And it's like coming up, and so it like burns all the hair on my arm.
It's amazing.
Burns my eyebrows. Luckily, it didn't hurt my. I'm surprised it didn't hurt my eyes. But and I come out there, and everybody's like laughing at me because there was this ball of flames around me.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like that. People were laughing at me. I love that.
Do you know how many times I've done that? I'm like, man, this fire's not growing fast enough. I get a cup of gasoline and I just throw it on it.
But don't you think the attachment of judgment to this perceived matrix that nature's really not giving a shit about is just the gasoline on the fire?
That's all it is.
It's just hurting you.
You're hurting yourself. You're burning you're singeing your hair off.
For no reason.
You're burning your hand and you don't need to.
No, because, and it's so beautiful when you look at it. You know, I have that statement that I love from Cameron Haynes. Nobody cares, work hard, or even have a t-shirt on it.
I love it.
Yeah. And it's a positive statement. It's not a negative statement but it's like, I want to make another one, you know, like nature doesn't care, you know, work harder or something.
Nature doesn't care, adapt faster.
Yeah, adapt faster. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great one. Yeah. We'll have to do an HDL t-shirt on that.
Writing that down.
Yeah.
Nature doesn't care, adapt faster. But
Yeah.
keep going.
But it's this whole idea of thinking that we're the center of the universe and everything revolves around us when nothing does.
Not one thing.
We're such a small that microbe that lives on that granite rock here in the Sandia Mountains is no different than me.
No, it really isn't. Does it carry the same creational force of energy? Yeah, it does. You know, the universe doesn't revolve around you. You revolve around this planet. The planet revolves around the sun. The sun revolves around this local solar center. The solar center revolves around our galaxy. This galaxy goes around the center of our universe. And how many universes are there? You don't revolve around shit.
Yeah. There's so many human species.
You are not the center of anything.
No.
The only thing you're the center of is your own mind.
Yeah, and our thoughts.
Apart from that, nothing else.
But when you recognize it, it's so freeing. But I want to close in this because I think we're coming up on time. Is the greatest desire for man, seems like, if you look at all of us, is this idea of feeling seen and understood. This feeling of that. Like if you really think about, like, I go on Instagram a lot. You know, I just like looking at pictures and shit like that. But it's like that every time I go on there, it's like people are looking at me and like, see me, give me more, I want more likes, you know, and then, but it's more than just being seen. We want to be seen, but we also want to be understood. Because even when you look at people that are extremely famous, they'll always say that, like, you know, Brad Pitt talked about that. You know, I mean, he's probably one of the most famous people. He's like, I'm not that movie character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But people think I am. Like Clint Eastwood's totally different. He's a jazz player, you know, I mean, loves jazz music. He's not the cowboy that we think smoking on a spaghetti western, smoking the cigarette, you know. He's not that guy, even though we make him out to be that way. So being understood or feeling seen is, I think, that desire in us is false, because I think it's the ability, and like I said, we'll close on this. I think it's the ability of not trusting ourselves.
You don't trust yourself because you don't trust your relationship to creation itself. You are already understood because you're alive. You're an entity. That's the greatest amount of understanding you would ever need. And once you understand that oneness, there's nothing left to be seen or understood or felt.
Yeah, you don't have to. Why do I need to be seen? That's ego.
It's all ego.
So it's not, there's so much more, because now I'm doing things to be seen, or I'm doing things to be understood, or I'm doing things not to better humanity and be in service to others. I'm doing things all narcissistic, you know what I mean, in a narcissistic way.
To reinforce my calcification of my pineal gland.